Hey Zobot, just want to make a quick video here to kind of explain what this leaf collection project is. Uh, as it says in the name, you guys are going to be collecting leaves to make a kind of guide to help you identify native Michigan species of trees that you can find around Fowlerville. This is something that you'll be able to keep once you're done with the class, and it's kind of just a cool thing to hang on to. So what you'll end up doing for this, you're going to collect 30 different leaf specimens that are all listed on the back of this page. We'll get to that in just a sec. You're going to press them to preserve them, and you will need to identify what type of tree it came from. Within your final project, you're going to organize your specimen by the tree families, and what this final project will look like. It's actually going to differ based on if you're face-to-face or if you're virtual. For face-to-face students, I have an example of it. I'll show you in just a sec. It's going to be put into a binder. Online students, the only difference is rather than being in a binder, you're just going to put all this stuff onto Google Doc. So you can submit it that way. And like I said, I have an example of that. I'll show it to you in just a second. So what this process is going to look like. First off, you're going to go out and collect species. This can be from your yard. You can go around town. You can have friends and family. If they have property with a bunch of trees, you can ask them to collect samples for you, or you can go there and collect them yourself. Once you get your specimen, you're going to have to preserve them. We're going to do this with basically just paper and a book is the easiest way, a heavy book like a textbook. And again, I'll show you at the end of this video how to do that. On that piece of paper, you are going to need to write the label for this specimen. So it's common name, scientific name, date found, location found, and collector's name. So what those things are, common name, this would be saying something like a sugar maple. Now the scientific name for a sugar maple is Acer saccharum. The date found is going to be, this one just has the month and year. If you had the actual day, put that in as well. Location is just going to be city and state. So Fowlerville, Michigan, or wherever you find it. Now, collector's name. For the most part, this is going to be your name. I'm assuming that most of you guys will be collecting your own species. However, if you do have family or friends that collect some samples for you, you are going to want to put their name there. Okay, so in our example here, Rick Sanchez was the one who found this sugar maple. On your samples, you will have to initial on the blade of the leaf. So I have a leaf here. On this leaf, on the blade somewhere, it's going to work best with Sharpie. Put the first and last initial of the collector. Again, for most of your samples, that's probably going to be you, so your first and last initial. However, if someone else collects a sample for you, put their first and last initial. All right, and the last part of this is in your final project, all of the different samples are going to be organized by what tree family they belong in. And you're going to have kind of a subtitle page to show those different tree families. All right, so if we flip to the back now. This is a large project. It is going to be worth 150 points. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say here, important due date, October 16th. That is a Friday. You have about 5 weeks to work on this, okay? All right, so 150 points. It's based on number of correct specimens, so you need at least 30 different specimens, 30 different species, okay? The correct identification, correct labeling techniques. We also want to make sure it's neat. Correct overall family, so we're not putting, let's say, maple leaf into the magnolia family. That wouldn't be right. And just overall presentation, that kind of goes along with neatness. We just want to make sure it looks good. So this list that I'm talking about here. Here are the 45 different trees that you can collect samples from. I know it's a lot. But for the most part, these trees, they're pretty common. They're native species. There may be a few that are a little bit harder to find. But again, that's why we give you 45 and we only require 30. All right, so once you're all done, you're going to throw that either in a binder or, like I said, for the online students, you're going to make that Google Doc, and we will turn that in on the 16th. For my online students, I will create a separate assignment on Google Classroom for you to turn that in. Right now, where this is posted, what you will have to do is take the next sheet, and you will need to assign, by looking them up on Google, all of these 45 species to the different families. So the way I want you to do this is you're going to go in for the maple family. We have an example here, sugar maple, the Acer saccharum. Okay, you want to put the common name and your scientific name. Same thing over here, beech family, example is white oak. We have the scientific name there as well. You're going to do that with all 45 leaves. The tree families is what you're going to turn in on this assignment on Google Classroom. Or if you're face-to-face, you'll just hand this in to me personally. Okay, so now getting to what this is going to look like. Again, I don't have because this is kind of the first year I've done the online version, I only have the binder, but you get the idea. Here is a past year's binder. Let me adjust my camera a little bit here. So, nice, neat, 3-ring binder. Has our title page, name, date that you're turning it in, and your hour. You can put a title on it if you want to, but really that's all I need on the front. When you open it up, then we get our first kind of subsection here, our beech family. So all the samples in this section belong to the beech family. So if we go through, here we have a chestnut oak. It's properly labeled. In the final version, this is typed. Okay, we don't want handwritten here. It's going to be typed up. If you're in class, I will get Chromebooks and I'll give you time to type this up. But then we're going to have our samples in here. Keep going through. Here's a red oak. Notice how we have our initials here. That one's good. This sample is not ideal, okay? But if it's all that you can find, it will work, okay? Really what we're looking for is we want a whole leaf, that bright green color. This one's a little old, so the color has faded, but we don't really want these deteriorated samples. One, it makes it hard to identify, and two, it's only gonna get worse over time. Okay, so try to find some nice, solid, no holes, shows the entire edge, all that good stuff. This goes through, and it looks like that's all we got for our beech family, so then we go on to the begonia family. We have a catalpa here. Now, some leaves are gonna be pretty big. Again, not a great sample, but it'll work in a pinch. Okay, so you guys get the idea. We want it to look professional. We want it to look clean. Same kind of thing for the online, just you're gonna do all of this on a Google Doc. So you'll have your title on the first page. Next thing is gonna be whatever your first family is. Then after that, you have your different samples. You're still gonna collect the actual samples, but to get them onto your Google Doc, what I'll have you do is just get a white sheet of paper, put your sample on it, make sure your initials or the collector's initials are on it, and then take a picture. You can then upload that picture to Google Classroom, and it will effectively work the same as having this. All right. So that kind of explains what the project will look like. The next thing and the last thing I'm gonna do real quick here is explain how to press a sample. So the easiest way, like I said, is gonna be with a book, like a textbook. You can use your botany book. That is heavy enough. If you have a thicker textbook, or if you have more books you can stack on top of it, that would be better. But what you're gonna wanna do, for most of your leaves, one sheet of paper will be fine. Now, like we saw with that catalpa, some of our samples are pretty big, okay? So if that's the case, if it's a huge leaf, just use 2 sheets of paper. But really, all you're gonna do, put it in there. You're gonna wanna wait to put your initials on it until after it has dried, okay? But before the drying process, when you're setting this up, put your leaf in, and then you're gonna wanna go through and label all of this information here, okay? Common name, scientific name, date found, location found, collector's name. Now, at first, this might be difficult doing the names. So, until we get to the point where you guys can identify these quickly and easily, minimum you need is going to be date, location, and collector. Okay, we'll come back and do the common name and the scientific name. Those two will be later on. Okay, so for now, just do this. Just do those three. Once you get on there, try to get it to lay as flat as you can. Again, remember, we're looking for these bright green leaves. Pretty much if it's already on the ground, you don't want to use it. You're gonna have to pull it off the tree itself. Now again, some of our trees are gonna be pretty tall, like tulip trees. You probably aren't gonna be able to reach those leaves. For those ones, yes, you can pick it up off the ground. Do your best to find one that is fresh, okay? One that has recently fallen. Put that on here, and you take your paper, fold it over. Be sure not to fold the leaf in there. Again, we're pressing it. We're trying to get it flat. And then you will take this and put it in your book. You want it to be under something heavy, and you're gonna wanna leave it there for 1-2 weeks, okay? So, what that means, we have about 5 weeks to do this. Within the next 3 weeks, you want to be collecting all your samples because you're going to need time for them to dry and for them to press. Once you're done, once they are pressed, actually about a week in, I know I said 1 to 2 weeks, about a week in, you want to check on it. Some of them may be done by then. If that's the case, then you can go back and work on naming and all that good stuff. If it needs more time, you can give it more time. You can also see sometimes you may get some mold or fungus or that kind of stuff starting to grow. If that's the case, you need to get a new sample. Okay, we can't have them with the mold or fungus. They're going to deteriorate so quickly. Okay, so make sure you are paying attention to that. I think that's about it for this project. Just email me if you have any questions, and I will see you guys later.